בקרוב תזרח השמש, נדע ימים יפים מאלה, הלב נלחם בדאגות. כולם יחזרו הביתה, נחכה להם למטה, הלוואי נדע בשורות טובות. כי עם הנצח לעולם לא מפחד, אפילו כשקשה לראות. כולם ביחד, אף אחד פה לא בודד, שישרפו המלחמות. עם ישראל חי, אם לא נשכח תמיד להיות מאוחדים. עם ישראל חי, בעליות בירידות, גם בשעות הכי קשות. הקדוש ברוך הוא שומר עלינו, אז מי יכול עלינו? כי אין לנו עוד מדינה. תעשה שלום בינינו, שמור על ילדינו, כי לא אבדה האמונה. עם ישראל, עם ישראל חי. עם ישראל חי. אור ארצי נחלתנו, לא תיפול כעת רוחנו, מסביב ברזל של חרבות. ויונה תפרוס כנפיים, התקווה בת שנות 2000, עוד נצא לשיר ברחובות. כי עם הנצח לעולם לא מפחד, אפילו כשקשה לראות. כולם ביחד, אף אחד פה לא בודד, שישרפו המלחמות. עם ישראל חי, אם לא נשכח תמיד להיות מאוחדים. עם ישראל חי, בעליות בירידות, גם בשעות הכי קשות. הקדוש ברוך הוא שומר עלינו, אז מי יכול עלינו? כי אין לנו עוד מדינה. תעשה שלום בינינו, שמור על ילדינו, כי לא אבדה האמונה. הקדוש ברוך הוא שומר עלינו, אז מי יכול עלינו? כי אין לנו עוד מדינה. תעשה שלום בינינו, שמור על ילדינו, כי לא אבדה האמונה. עם ישראל, עם ישראל חי. כי עם ישראל חי.
Shalom, shalom, folks. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat tov. May God bless you. God be with you guys. How you guys are doing today? Hopefully that you are listening. At least you're hearing my voice today. Hopefully, I think the mic is working today. So how you guys are doing? End of the Sunday. I mean, the first day. Hopefully you had a very good weekend. I'm actually recording this very, very late right now, and I thought that probably I will wrap it up this week with the Gospel of Mark. And we were discussing quite a bit of Mark and what was Mark's agenda and what was the trend that he was trying to set. And we have seen a lot of things. Before we start our session today, we're going to wrap it up with a Mark. And there's an interesting item that I would like to share in the Mark Gospel. And yesterday I had to record twice because the first time when I recorded it and there was no sound, I spent like almost like 40 minutes in taping that, but there was no sound. And I have to re-record it back again. That was I was hurrying up, and I so that was really a fast recording that I did yesterday. But today I'm going to wrap it up with the Mark Gospel. But before that, I would like to say that, disclaimer, as usual, again, I'm telling to you, this is a very sensitive matter and sensitive subject. And this is not, I'm trying to tap it on your belief system. And, this is for only informational purposes. I am telling you the truth that what I found. I was there, like you guys. Um, I've been to all the denominations and all the sections. I've studied a lot in the religion base, but finally I could not able to justify certain things. I could not able to find the truth in any of those things. Finally, when I found it, I'm sharing it now. It's up to you whether you have to accept it or not, or take it or not. It's up to you. But only thing is that I was being, like deceived all these years. I was made to believe certain things which I'm not supposed to believe. That was the huge, huge error in my life. But once, if I when I found that I am in a right path, I am in the right direction, my heart is rejoicing like anything. So I would like to share the same thing with you guys. Hopefully, you will listen to this one, and you will be the judge, or you will be the person who would make decisions on your end of it for sure, obviously. But one thing I will tell you, and this is about time for you guys to rethink. If you don't think it, I don't know what I can say to you, because basically you guys are violating even the first commandment. That's much I can tell you. I don't want to go very deep with that one. So having said that one, let us dive into Gospel of Mark. We are going to finish the Gospel of Mark. Only 16 chapters, 16 books were there in the Gospel of Mark. Folks, we saw that Gospel of Mark had an agenda. He was working on some agenda. All of a sudden. So, I already told the definition for everything, but I'm going to recap it today, because all of a sudden that somebody comes in the first century, they're trying to introduce something new to the Jewish community where they never heard about this one. These writings were done like that one. Why would they do? That's the trick and that's the technique. Think about this one, folks. These people, Jewish people, were worshipping their God for more than 3,000 years, communicating with God on a daily basis. And God was punishing them, chasing them, bringing back them, talking to them, surprising them. He was doing so many things with the Jewish people. So they know their father, they understand their father, they know very well that how father would treat them, as long as they're obeying his commandments. If they're not going to obey the commandments, if they violate the commandments, they also knew that what would happen when they cross or bypass the commandments. So that's the situation there. In that, while it was there, it is highly, highly impossible someone walk in and say, from now onwards, from moving forward, that if you want to access God, you got to go through this. You have to go through this person. And who would accept it? And you know, the Jewish people were not aware of Jesus Christ. God didn't tell them, Hashem didn't tell them that He has a son and He's going to send the son to the earth to take away all the sins, and He's going to He'll be getting killed in Jerusalem. And through him the salvation is going to. Nothing was told to the Jewish people. Then how come it's possible only the pagan world, the Gentile world, came to know that this is the Messiah? So they are trying to boast it one. So Mark Gospel, he never wrote any of the birth narratives. Only Matthew and Luke, they wrote the birth narratives. Mark didn't write it. John didn't write it. And I don't know where Mark got his resources, but he wrote some gospel. Again, Mark gospel, who no one knows who wrote it. and it is named as a Mark just because to have the disciples' name, they put it there. You know, even if you see the disciples' name, they were not the Jewish names. Mark, Luke, John. These are all Greek names. So the whole New Testament is written in the Greek language, and so it is so not fair for Jewish people to accept this. All of a sudden, the whole thing changes. Everything changes. They got to believe on this. They had to believe on Jesus Christ, and obviously they will not believe it because their father, their God, told them something totally different than what Jesus is preaching. And Jesus was preaching. So that's why I said that they won't accept it because they were not informed by God or they were not told by God before, and it's not possible for they would accept Jesus as the Messiah, and they have a different definition for Messiah. Mark comes and twists the definition into something else. Okay, let me ask you one thing. So Christians are doing what they are doing. Okay, we came in and we invented Jesus Christ. Now Jesus Christ is the Lord, and we have to force this one to the Jewish people. God hated Jewish people and he chased them out, and we are the one now, the real original children of God. Jewish people are not considered anymore. God is not going to work with them. So why we assume like that ourselves, where it is written like that? No, why should we assume that God is going to forget completely the Jewish people? It's not going to happen. They are their firstborn child. God is not going to forget them. It's not going to happen. So people think like that. So they put us in like that to make us believe that we are the chosen. God has changed. That's why Mark was changing the story of Messiah, and he was entertaining them. Messiah is going to be dying, and through his death only all the salvation and the resurrection. Through his resurrection only we will get all the freedom and everything. So it is about that time for us to worship Jesus as God. So that's what the Mark's preaching. So he was completely changing the meaning of Messiah. Let me ask you on this question. Well, okay, now you tried with them, right? But how about after the Christianity, 600 years after Christianity, Islam came? So then why not we go and adapt Islam? Because when you are expecting, Christians are expecting all the Jewish should be changed into Jesus Christ. How about the Islam after they come in? Why don't you go back to and take Islam on your thing? So they don't want to accept that, right? They don't want to do that one. So they want to stick with the Jesus. Well, that's your belief system. I agree that one. But the Bible, it doesn't say anything about Jesus or anybody in the Old Testament. It's all New Testament concepts. There are a lot of flaws in the New Testament. There are a lot of mistakes in the New Testament. That's why I was telling how Mark was considered as the trendsetter. How Mark was considered as the revealing is like is is the change of the total ideology of Jewish into a pagan version of the worshiping God. So he was trying to introduce that one. That's what it is, agenda of Mark, and that we saw that yesterday, and how he was trying to change the meaning of Messiah. Right. Okay. Now, what we're doing today, because we did until 16th chapter 8th word. After seeing the Jesus, tomb was empty, and they were told by the guy one who was sitting there, and they ran away and they didn't tell to anybody. There ends the chapter. That is the original version, ends there. completely, the totally ends there, the original version. If you go back and see in the councils, they have the original version of Mark. Mark ends in 16th chapter, 8th word, it ends. The remaining 12 verses were added after some century. So could you believe that? But it is true. And every scholar knew about this one. So they all knew about this one, okay? So Mark chapter 16, from 9 to 20, was added to the content, added to the 16th chapter. So which is not good at all. We should be adding it, right? So it was literally added by themselves, from uh, the Mark Gospel, 16th chapter, and which was not fair when you comparatively. So what it talks, when these two women came in and to look into the tomb, and they saw a man sitting on the tomb, and then he said that he is not here. Jesus was not there. He was not there, and he told also to go to the disciples and to tell them, including Peter. Usually, normally, when if you go and tell to anybody, don't tell it, then they'll go and tell it to everybody. But here, the I think the angel, whoever it is, he was giving the instruction to go and tell it to the disciples. But the women, they didn't do it. They didn't go. They just didn't go to John or Peter or anybody. They went on their own way and they didn't tell it. Look at this, is something irony of these women, the actions. They don't want to tell it. That is kind of a really a little bit of annoying or something, but that's the truth. They didn't go, and it was not happening. Well, anyway, so the from 12th chapter to the 20th chapter by the King James version completely change of the agenda of the Jewish, and then Mark's agenda was introduced over there to the pagan system, pagan people. So Jesus was died and he was buried by Arimathea. When Sunday morning came, when the light, the women want to give the proper burial. You may ask that why women came to the tomb, because those days, women were the one who does the burial processes. So that's why they were introduced in that picture and in the scene that they are going and ringing up. So but anyways, since like the we or the end of the chapter, since Mark gospel was completely different from other gospel, it is completely totally thoroughly different from other gospel, and it was the pioneer gospel. There are there were plagiarism by the other authors. Luke took something from the Mark. Matthew took something from Mark. John took it was a reference. Mark was a reference for all these three gospels. They completely copied them and then they put it in there. That's what it happened in all the Matthew, Luke, and John. That's why you can see some of the times all the chapters are looking same. How come the chapter would looking same? One person wrote the whole book in 20 years back. The other person comes in after 20 years and he is writing the same verses. Mean what? Simply he was looking at the book and writing it. Very simple. That's what it is. So they were looking at the book and they are writing it. That's what it is. And but even then, I'm trying to tell you guys, look at this. Mark chapter was originally eight verses, but they added 12 verses and make it in a complete holistically, very interpreted novel of Jesus. So they wanted to make sure that everything is there. They don't want it to be leave it like that. So that's the reason. That's the reason that the in the end of the chapter they added 12 verses, stealing from the other gospels, and then they added it and they put it in. Folks, I'm not here to criticize anything. I'm not here to mock at anything, but I wanted to tell you guys, really, it is very high time. It is very, very high time for us to rethink and, you know, about our practices. And you should go and check it. You know, is it true what I'm telling? Is it really true or not? You have to go and check it. You have the checks and balances. Try to do that, okay, so that you know what I'm talking. It is 100% true by the Jewish people, how they are worshiping God and how they violate their gods, and how that they gave opportunity for so many other people. And also, you know, we also have some opportunity to go over there, but the Jewish, whenever we have some, sometimes in the future, or definitely you should go and see what's going on there. So Mark Gospel is amazingly beautiful. It's brilliant, smart, wonderful. Mark set a trend set. Mark makes this show that a new trend was set and everybody was following it, everybody was copying it. But on the whole, if you think, these are all not correct, because the concept is not correct, the logical is not correct, and there are more than 400,000 mistakes, corrections in the New Testament till date, and it is keep on increasing. Look at these folks. How many versions of Bible out there? You know, there are so many Christian faith groups. I heard one day there was a faith group called a classical faith group. I don't know what is classical within the TPD faith group, or like I have no idea. Every day there is a new denomination, has been given birth, and the new Bibles are introduced. There are different versions of Bible. They write it in a way that they want to sell it out. So it's a huge market outside. That's why these things are happening. But you got to be smart enough to find out what is right and what is wrong to your body and physique. So folks, think about this one. All the things I told about Mark and how he ends it up, how he confronted everything, and now go and check it out. What are the things I told about Mark and Jesus, God in this one? Because it's very, very important for you to know, just to learn about that. And I'm sure, possibly, one day you will be enlightened, and definitely you'll come back to me one day and tell me. So, but anyways, till then, now I would like to, thank you guys for being with me at this time of hour. So let me go and close my session. I'll come back with next another interesting episode starting from next week. So till then, Shabbat Shalom, Shavua Tov. May God bless you. God be with you. Berkat Hashem Aleikum Ve'eshmarekum. Take care, guys. I'll talk to you pretty soon. Maybe by next week. Thank you.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם